Hi, everyone. Welcome to this edition of Monday Morning Musing. This is Steve. We are talking about eating, fellowship, table fellowship, as it relates ultimately to the Eucharist as a Christian meal. There was no such thing as a non-religious banquet at the time of Christ. Roman, Gentile, Jew. The gathering of people together had religious overtones. And the banquet was the place where, for Roman, their devotion and allegiance to Caesar would be reinforced publicly. The banquet was a social, political, teaching moment. And it even makes Irenaeus' statement, the Eucharist is our teaching and our teaching is the Eucharist, it would have sat very normally in their world, because the meal was a place where worship of Caesar and or the gods and the heroes would take place and teaching would take place. Every diner was required, everyone who attended the banquet was required to salute the gods, to honor Caesar, and to honor the heroes of Rome. The banquet was a miniaturization of the structure of Roman society. And it's the place where those values and ethics, keep that in mind as we go forward. It wasn't per se about the food, the fun, and the fellowship. It was about the values and the ethics that made the fabric of Roman society cohere being reinforced. It was a place where your status in society was established or reinforced. Boundary markers were recognized. Where you sat, who you was next to you, were all communicative. When we get together to share a meal, we just eat, laugh, tell funny stories. We have a good time. Not so for them. Every formal banquet, and they happened as often as once a week or once a month, happened for all classes. Of course, the quality of food, and there would be some differences between the lower class and the elites, but everybody, including Christians, would participate. But when we get to it, when it became a strictly Christian agape meal, there were some significant differences. How the table was set, the food you received, how you received it, when you received it, who served it, who got it, were all elements of communication. They communicated something. They communicated to the people in attendance. So the meal was a teaching phenomena. For us, it is a fellowship phenomena. Now, fellowship, and we're going to get to this in one of the other episodes coming up, was an element of that Roman banquet. But if you didn't have these other worship and instruction elements, you could get into serious trouble with Caesar and his henchmen. Serious trouble. How you were dressed, your behavior, everything was sending signals to the other people in the room, which they understood, they read it, they could get it. We come to the text 2,000 years later, we don't have a clue of what's going on. And we develop thinking and theology and beliefs from ideas that would be completely foreign to the text. Context and culture matter. So I'm going to rehearse the structure just a little bit, and then the next one we're going to get into the first element. The structure of the Roman meal, they would have been reclining at a U-shaped table. They would have been lying or laying on their left side, eating with their hands and eating from the right side. And the person on their right would be the highest person of honor, and it would go down the table to the lowest person. And on the left would be even the lower status-wise. And so, be it weekly or monthly, it didn't matter. And there were two elements, well, actually three. We talked about them in the last episode. There was the first meal, called the Deipnon, the meal, the actual meal. Then right in the middle, there would have been what's called libations, wine and drink offerings. There would be like toasts, and they'd have certain rituals where they would spill a little on the floor and sprinkle a little here. Toast and ritual to Caesar and the gods. And then it would shift. There was a second part of the meal, and it was for, now this is important for later, free males only. The second part of the meal, which was called the Symposium, was for free males only. And this would be where the entertaining would come in. This would be where music would come in. This is where discussion and philosophy would come in. And everybody, regardless of class, and that it would have included Christians, would be participating in that second part. And the whole point of that second part was after you've had your meal and you've drunk your wine, and by the way, the wine was cut. It was 3 parts water to 1 part wine because bad behavior was discouraged. Did bad behavior happen? Yes, it did. It happened because, like every ideal, the expression of that ideal falls short of that ideal very often. But bad behavior was discouraged. The fruit of that experience of attending that banquet was supposed to be one of joy. When you were done with the banquet, you were supposed to leave being reinforced in the joy of being Roman. They believed that Rome had been chosen by the gods to run the world. They had a manifest destiny belief system. And because this feast, this banquet, it was a vehicle where their beliefs were reinforced, you were supposed to go out with joy. As a matter of fact, if you left a banquet and it wasn't a joy, you didn't have, exhilarating feelings, thank God I was born a Roman, or thank God I was made a Roman, your banquet was considered a failure. It was a bad banquet because you didn't come out happy. So that was the whole point of gathering together. So just with that little bit of intro, we're going to, on the next session, go into greater detail on the first part of that meal, the first supper, the Deipnon, the first event, because Jesus functioned in this way too. So I'll see you the next time.